All right, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday night here in New York City. We are starting off the stream tonight on Madison Avenue. I think this is 26th Street, I think. 26th, maybe 23rd. We'll figure it out. But tonight we do not have a specific topic planned. It is our Saturday night stream. We tend to walk around the city, check things out, have a good time. Now, there's a ton of people in New York this weekend. The weather was absolutely picture perfect. Beautiful fall day. But before we start, I do just want to quickly recap off the extremely volatile week on Wall Street with some definitive closes here. So the S&P 500 closed down. Let's sort of take this from all-time record highs. So from all-time record highs, the S&P 500 is down about 1,236 points to 3,583. That's about 25.66% decline for the S&P 500. Now, the NASDAQ composite is down about 5,898 points to about 10,321. That's about a 36.37% decline. So think about that. From all-time highs to now, the NASDAQ is down about 36, almost 37%. Now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average of the Dow 30 is faring a little bit better, down about 7,303 points, or just a hair under 20% at 19.79%. The Dow closed Friday at 29,634. Now, the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield blew past 4%, as we've been talking about in live streams. We are sitting at 4.022%. That yield curve is inverted all the way across, with the 2-year Treasury yielding about 4.496%. And if we take a quick look at the housing market with the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, it's going to run you about 7.04% for 30-year fixed rate. But without further ado, let's see who we have in the chat tonight. I see Sunshine After Rain, Austin City Limits, good to see you. Vinny Castellano, Erica M, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Paul Greenwell, I see Tiago Pereira, Jonathan Richards, John, Brian, Dirk Raffed. This is happy Saturday to you. So we're gonna close the window here and we're gonna start the live stream. We are obviously starting off the stream in a WeWork location. So this was just one of the little sort of office spaces. Head out and we will start our stream here on the 4th floor of the WeWorks building. I see Tracy Sillis is here. Good to see you. This is happy Saturday, everybody. I see Brian. Yeah, so hopefully we'll just have a pretty normal stream. Not too much to talk about. Jay, good to see you. Tracy. Hey, guys. Hopefully we don't have internet issues. We'll see. Sure. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Quinn, good to see you. Thanks. Quinn's is looking forward to the stream tonight. Thank you, Quinn. Vonda Howard is here. Welcome, welcome. Anna Andrews. Spencer Morrison says happy Saturday night. Happy Saturday night to you, too. So this is East 31st Street and Madison Avenue. And I think we are going to make a left. We very, very rarely on the streams sort of explore this particular neighborhood. So I think it'll be cool to do that on this beautiful Saturday night. I see Charlie Richardson. Says, hey, Tom, what is the temperature? I think it's probably about 55 degrees. You know, it was actually not too cold today. I think it got up to about 66, maybe 67. Wendy England is here since it's been a real chilly day. Abdullah is here. Welcome. Good to see you. You know, one of the things that's getting me a little bit excited for next week is I believe on Friday we are going to hear from the National Realtors Association as they report their existing home sales. And I think that number is going to come in really, really bad. I think that number is going to come in extremely, extremely terrible, for lack of a better words. But we'll talk about that a little bit more on tomorrow night's live stream. The stock market's a look ahead, but we've sort of been talking about the housing market in relation to how come the declines in the housing market, we're not seeing them as fast as we saw in the equities market or the stock market, right? And I think the biggest reason for that is just because of liquidity, right? Real estate is less liquid than stocks. Wow, this is a really nice Tesla here. So I think we're going to get a really, really bad number. And I think existing home sales are going to continue to fall off a cliff. And Q1 and Q2 of 2023, I believe that's when we're going to start to see the actual price declines, and possibly significant. So we'll talk about that. Paul Greenwell is here. Good to see you. Tug Carter says, hey Tom, where are we going to go tonight? I think we're going to stay on the east side. So this is East 31st Street. We are now on Park Avenue. And if I turn the camera this way, you could see all the way to Grand Central Station, MetLife Building. But I think we're going to stay below 42nd Street tonight because, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we've ever done the streams this far over. We usually stay in Midtown. Marcy is here. Good to see you, Marcy. Always a pleasure. Austin City Limits. This is Tom Loves Teslas. I do. Tesla's reporting earnings next week. Now, if you guys saw some of the stuff I was posting on my Twitter, some very bearish and very negative charts. And I think the most, well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say probably the second most egregious looking chart is probably Tesla. Number one is being Meta. I mean, that thing just continues to get hammered and pounded into the dirt. Dusty Cole is here, says, hey, Tom, Cat, and gang, how we doing? Doing pretty good. What about you, Dusty? Hopefully your weekend is off to a fantastic start. Spencer says, hey, Tom, how many miles do you typically do during the live stream? That's a good question. Well, I think it depends. I could tell you how many miles we do in an entire day, but that includes what we do in the live stream, also just walking about during my regular day, and it's usually around 13 miles a day. Now, the live stream probably makes up the vast majority of that, so I'd say we probably do about maybe 8 miles, maybe a little less on the live stream, depending on where we stream. But the nights that we walk the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, and then go all the way back to Penn Station, those nights we could probably do, I don't know, I'd say maybe just shy of 10. I think that's pretty appropriate. So Slim says, tear Meta down. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of people are rooting for the demise of Meta, or formerly known as Facebook, but I mean, we'll see. I think that Mark Zuckerberg is making, I don't really want to say a premature push. This is a beautiful view of the Chrysler Building, by the way. I just think Mark Zuckerberg is really putting all his eggs in one basket, so to speak. And he's making a pretty big bet that everybody is going to buy into all of this Metaverse stuff, wearing all of these fixed headsets, which I just don't think is ready for prime time now. Now, I could be wrong. I tend to be a slower adopter of technology, believe it or not. But I just don't think that the vast majority of Americans, or even people across the world, are going to sort of assimilate to a lifestyle where they're, have to put on some sort of VR, AR headset and build virtual worlds. Now, what I do think will probably happen is it'll probably take off in more, I would say, work type of events and spaces as opposed to just like regular hangouts. I think those applications are probably more realistic in my view. I don't know, what do you guys think? Jackie Chen says if Google Glasses is still a thing, you could use it to read comments and do the live stream. So it's interesting that you bring up Google Glass, and excuse my voice, I'm still a little bit run down, but the company who I consult with, we have a big partnership. We actually just signed a big partnership with Google Glass, and we're doing a pretty large rollout for some big companies. And Google Glass actually has some pretty interesting use cases. So for one of the use cases, we're helping a big QSR company. So QSR is quick service restaurant, with training. So I'm obviously not going to say the exact company. Oh, it's 61 degrees out. It feels way colder than that. Huh, interesting. Oh, check out this building. This building is beautiful. So we're helping out one of these QSR companies do more expedited training. So right now it takes about 14 days for an employee to be fully up to speed and trained. However, if they sort of work in these Google Glasses into their training program, the trainees could wear the glasses and then be instructed virtually on how to prep the food, you know, how to clean up their workstations and things like that. And it is a significant, you know, increase in, I would say, not only employer retention, because it's a little less intimidating to just have somebody virtually walk you through how to do your job instead of somebody micromanaging you over your shoulder. So I think it gives the employees a little bit better experience. D is here, good to see us, as those digital signs are pretty cool. Welcome, D. Yeah, I mean, we never come over to this area. Pretty interesting neighborhood. This is East 31st Street and 3rd Avenue. Now, I always see these Bond vets all over the place. I think this company is one to watch. They're not publicly traded, but has anybody ever taken their animals or their pets to the Bond vet type locations? Let's actually walk past it. It's sort of like a hip veterinarian service. Walter, it is a newer, I think it's called the Google Glass Enterprise. So I think Boeing is in a trial for it as well. But I know for sure some quick service restaurants are doing it because we're deploying them in the field, and we actually have to program their training software on these glasses. Hey, Dutchman is here. Good to see you, Dutchman. I see Robert. Welcome, welcome. Derek. Dulcie is in the house. So we are now looking northbound on 3rd Avenue. And check out the very top of the Chrysler Building. But not to one-up the Chrysler Building, if we direct our attention over to the left side, you could actually see the very top of the Empire State Building as well. Hey, CeeLo is here. Good to see you. Marcy says, I've seen those Bond vets. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep an eye on that company. There's a ton on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I think there's one on 78th Street in Columbus. Or 76th Street in Columbus, excuse me. But they are always packed when I go in there. Dusty Cole says, are these apartments? Well, a lot of these are mostly like retail storefronts, bars and restaurants. However, above the bars and restaurants are mainly apartments. And I never, ever, ever come this way. Mainly because I really don't have any need to. Now let's check out down here. Some really nice outdoor dining facilities here. Hey, Big Talk is here. Good to see you. Gregory's here. Welcome. So we did a quick recap at the very beginning of the stream, sort of talking about the year-to-date performance of the major equity indices. Now, does it feel like the NASDAQ is down 37%? That's a question for the chat. Does it really feel like the NASDAQ is down 37%? To be honest, it doesn't. Now, the S&P 500 year to date is down about 25%, or about 1,236 points. But I feel as if since the sell-off has been so orderly and structured, as I like to call it, and it's been elongated over many, many months, almost a year now. Oh my God, check out this dog. 10 out of 10 on the dog that just passed. Austin City Limits says, yes, it feels like that to me. You know, for some reason, it doesn't feel like it's been as brutal. Now, in some of the individual names, yes. If you had exposure to a lot of individual stocks and rode these things down like 90%, like some of the Pelotons. But I think in this environment, well, we're not in the environment anymore, but the environment that we used to be in of just quantitative easing, all of these corrections and bear markets have been so short-lived, but they've been extremely violent. So if the market's going to sell off, it's going to be circuit breakers every day until the Fed can save it. But it's been rather orderly and rather structured. You know, I think the market put in its exact top on January 4th of 2022. So it's been almost a year now. So if we continue this sort of structured sell-off, it's almost a year of choppy to downward price action. All right, so this is near the Wayfair market. Check this out. You can see all the way to the One Vanderbilt building from here. Yeah, Troy says rather orderly doesn't make it any less painful. Pup says, are you feeling better, Tom? Yeah, I'm feeling 100% better. Just my voice is a little bit shot still. If you look over here, you'll see the Empire State Building all lit up. Now, one of the reasons why I think it feels a little bit different is because if you think back, I want everybody to think back how it felt during the COVID crash. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think we hit circuit breakers maybe 1 or 2 times. And it happened in such a short period of time. I think the entire move happened within, a month. I think that's what made it so fearful and so panicky. Oh, check out this bar. This is cool. But I think this time around, we've had some very, very vicious bear market rallies. Prime example in the summer. Hey, Mimi is here. Says, hey, Tom, multitasking and listening to you. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Mimi. We are here at East 29th Street, 3rd Avenue, or 2nd Avenue now. Glenn says, good evening from the UK. Welcome. Good to see you. Martin says, Tom, next time you're in Miami, do the Hard Rock Casino and Hotel. Show everybody the Guitar Hotel. So where is that located? Is that in Hollywood? I think that is in Hollywood, Florida. And I haven't been up to Hollywood, Florida in a long, long time. So maybe I'll have to check it out. It's a good suggestion. Dubs says, good evening, everybody. I think some tech stocks are insanely cheap right now for long-term investor. Great positions to take up in a Roth IRA. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. You know, there's an old saying that just because they're cheap doesn't mean they can't get a lot cheaper. Now, one of my predictions is that I think a lot of people are going to get really, really burned here trying to bottom fish on Meta. Oh, here it is. Check that out. You can see One Vanderbilt. So for me, I think it's very risky to sort of bottom fish in these individual names. And the reason why I say that, and again, I could be wrong, this is just my opinion. This is just sort of, you know, a relaxed stream tonight. But the reason why I say that is because you have to sort of understand the environment we were in for the past 12 years, emerging from the great financial crisis. And I think that has structurally changed valuation metrics. And here's what I mean by that. When interest rates were artificially suppressed, pretty much near zero, a lot of these tech stocks, especially like these SaaS, software as a service stocks, they grew through rapid multiple expansion. So they were trading at ridiculous levels to price to sales, price to earnings. But I think investors are going to start to say, well, I'm not willing to pay that ridiculous price to earnings or price to sales anymore now that Fed funds is going to 5%. You know, maybe you know, a PE ratio on the S&P 500 of 18 is cheap when we're in a quantitative easing cycle. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, during the great financial crisis, I think the S&P 500, I think the PE was 10, maybe 8. So, I mean, there's no rule that says those valuation metrics can't come back. And I saw another comment here that said, when do you think the market will sort of bottom and turn up? I think it's probably going to bottom and turn up when the Fed pivots. And I don't think the Fed is going to pivot for a long time. Now, I think I said this last night, but I think it's appropriate to say it again tonight. If you look on my Twitter feed, so if you follow @WalksWallStreet, I think about halfway down, if you scroll down a little bit on the Twitter feed, there's this analyst that posted a really, really interesting graph, or a chart, whatever you want to call it. And it was, essentially it was Fed liquidity, or a chart of the balance sheet, and indices, the major, I would say, equity indices. And the market, ever since, I would say 2011, 13, on up to teens, it's very, very dependent on, you know, central bank liquidity. And now that central bank liquidity is drying up, you know, where do we think asset prices are going to go? Probably lower. So I don't know when the market's going to bottom. I don't think anybody does. But if I had to guess, it's probably either when the Fed comes out and signals to the market that they're going to, you know, maybe hold interest rates and not raise them anymore. Or maybe they'll continue to raise rates, but just signal to the market that they'll be there to buy bonds. Something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Hey, CM is here. Good to see you. Says you sound great tonight again. Appreciate that, CM. Yeah, I'm feeling a pretty 100%, but just the voice is still a little bit shot. But I'm feeling good. CM, good to see you. Dubs says fair point on Meta. However, I personally don't think the majority of people understand what they are focusing on, which won't play out now, but down the road. That's a good point. It's a good point. Now, Meta is a really tricky one for me because I would like to say this.
It's me.
Watch out. I would like to say that Mark Zuckerberg is sort of putting all his eggs in one basket here. Wow, that's the first time you see a seedy guy this far over. Usually they're all in Times Square. Obviously, Mark Zuckerberg is way smarter and intelligent and business savvy than I'll ever be. So I guess I'm technically violating that number one rule of never bet against these entrepreneurs, right? So has anybody heard of that saying, invest in the entrepreneur, not necessarily the business? So maybe I'm getting that wrong. But I don't know, I just can't see. And again, maybe it's just, I'm being a little bit ignorant here, but I cannot see, at least as of right now, a world where everybody has these Oculus type glasses on. Excuse me. I'm just not seeing it. Just not seeing it yet. Dubs says Meta will be the leader in AR and VR. And they have the largest user base, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Yeah, that's true. And also they have a huge international audience as well. I think a lot of people, to your point, they talk about Facebook and they think about, not a lot of users in the United States. Well, there are a lot of users in the United States, but it's in decline. I think you could probably say that with certainty. I think we've taken a poll here in the chat. I don't use Facebook anymore, but in some of the emerging market countries, it's huge. It's really, really huge. Hey, Linda Silva is here. Good to see you. The LT Prods Zuckerberg is playing the long game. Yeah, you could be right. I mean, maybe it's, I sort of need to be catching myself here because, maybe I sound like, one of those people back in the day. Has anybody seen that Matt Lauer interview from way, way back in the day when the first iPhone came out? Does anybody remember that? I think it was, what show was he on? Good Morning America or something like that? And he said, well, why does anybody need an iPhone when I have my BlackBerry, when I can just type everything? It's like, I don't understand why anybody would need an iPhone. So sort of maybe I'm missing the point here. And if we look back on this live stream in 20 years, and I'm saying, well, why does anybody need the Oculus headset? Why would anybody wear that? Maybe in 20 years, we'll all be walking around with one. Beats me. Hey, Lila is here. Hey, Tom and everybody. Good to see you, Lila. Cox Zuckerberg is 5 years too early and is blowing too much cash with no return in a bad economic environment. So that's another good point. You could be right, but you could be early. So I think the timing may be a little bit off. It's a good point. Wayne McKay says, I would never bet against Zuckerberg, Musk, Bezos. It's like fighting the Fed. It's a good point. I mean, so far we've all been proven wrong, right? Or I guess that thesis has been proven right. Never bet against those entrepreneurs. Now, in all fairness, Meta does generate a ridiculous amount of free cash. But in my view, I don't know. I just don't see this yet taking off. I think if Zuckerberg pushed more of the business applications, I think it would be an easier adoption curve for this particular, I guess, metaverse type feel. I think if you really built out business use cases, maybe it would be a little bit better. Aaron is here. Good to see you. Trust you're well. I see Sally. VJ is here. Says, hey, Tom. What's up, VJ? Happy Saturday. Good to see you. John. Well, the LT Prod. Does anybody know the crazy story of how Mark Zuckerberg came into Oculus? Mark Zuckerberg bought Oculus from this young entrepreneur. And there was actually a book that I'm reading right now that outlines the entire story. I'm blanking on the name of the book. I think it's called The History of the Future. Now, if you guys Google history of the future, I think that's the name of the book. But pick up that book, read it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I think it's well worth the read, especially now. Hey, James Simmons is here. Michelle McGraw, good to see you, Michelle. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, last name, first name, last name. This is the VR avatars are everywhere and it'll only grow, potentially. Where's my Z? Says Meta will go through the roof with another potential major lockdown. Yikes. Yeah, Sweet Country Living in Michigan by Blake Harris. Julia M is here. Good to see you, Julia. Welcome. Taxi Cab says Lucky Palmer. Exactly. Yeah, the story of that was just insane. The story of Lucky Palmer. Now, he built the Oculus in like a little trailer outside of his house. And if that's not probably the most blatant, I would say, American entrepreneurial success story, I mean, I don't really know what is. I mean, this kid didn't attend any, big name Ivy League school. He didn't really have many connections, but he had extreme persistence. And his product found its way into the hands of Mark Zuckerberg, and he bought it for over $1 billion. Wow, check out this view. So this is on Lexington Avenue. You're facing northbound and you have an amazing shot of the Chrysler Building. Hey, James says University of Tennessee just pulled off a huge win against Alabama and remains undefeated this season. Awesome. Got the FDNY coming here. NYC Dub says future equals Apple product base, Meta user base. Oh, is this really where that Friends Experience thing is? I never knew that. Hey, DA says, hey, Tom, good evening. I like listening to the streams. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. Appreciate you watching. We're headed back into, I would say, Midtown. Well, we're going to be at Madison Square Park here in a minute from the east side. Denise NYC says, good evening, everybody. Good to see you, Denise. Teresa Diaz says, this neighborhood looks interesting. Yeah, I mean, Teresa, we very rarely come over this way. We're usually right in Midtown, but we went all the way to 3rd Avenue tonight. Since it's Saturday, we don't really have a specific topic planned. We're just kind of hanging out tonight. Hey, Julia M says, Tom, when are you back in Florida? So I'll probably be back in Florida November 1st-ish. So I think I told you guys I rented out my entire place to a longer term tenant. I think I may or may not have told you guys, but I'm shifting up my rental strategy for medium term rentals only. Because this is what I found out through trial and error. It takes the same amount of effort, and by effort I mean, coordination with the client or the tenant, the cleaning and all that stuff, getting the place ready for the next guest. It takes the same amount of effort for people that stay maybe 1 or 2 days than, let's say, a family that's taking a month vacation. Maybe the wife or the husband are able to work remotely so they could stay for a month or 2 months. That's exactly sort of the clientele that I'm targeting. So long story short, I'm really only gonna rent out my place at a minimum of a month, or maybe 2 months. And what I found is that the specific people that are looking towards those longer term rentals actually tend to be more responsible. Now, I don't know if this is an anecdote, but just for me, I've met the tenants of kids, right? So they're like, we didn't want to stay in a hotel with 3 little kids running around. We wanted a whole house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. The kids can run around in the backyard, the front yard. They could ride bikes throughout the neighborhood. We could park our car in your driveway. We could cook meals. So I think it's better to do that than maybe, rent out the one side of the house on the weekends. I feel as if not only is it more lucrative, it's almost the same amount of effort. So for the entire month, they're there. Hey, Allison Williams says, good evening, Tom, from Freeport, Bahamas. Whoa. Love to visit the Bahamas. Thank you for joining us tonight. Dusty Cole is here. Good to see you. Deborah is here. Says, good evening. Good to see you, Deborah. Trust you're well. So we are standing directly behind Madison Square Park. We have a great view of the Empire State Building. CM says, I miss Krispy Kreme. Marcy says, any chance we get to Washington Square Park? Maybe we'll turn downtown. I think that's a good idea. But yes, I'm probably going to be back November 1st. Troy says, Tom, thoughts on watching live sporting events on VR? Meta just partnered with the UFC, I believe. That's a good idea. That would be crazy. Now, here's another thing, and I think I'm sort of catching myself in a confirmation bias here. Oh, look at these longboarders. Man, those are awesome. So I think I need to try the product. And this goes directly back to Peter Lynch's book. Has anybody ever read One Up on Wall Street? And One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch, in my opinion, is probably top 10 best investing books ever written. But he says you have to try the product. You have to go and try the product. So maybe I'm jumping to conclusions too early. I've never tried the Oculus. Maybe it's a great experience. So maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll give it a whirl. I think that's a very good idea, though. Never thought about that. Meta could probably partner with the NFL, Major League Soccer, the NHL. Tons of opportunity there. So we are now standing on the corner of Broadway and East 23rd Street. This is Madison Square Park. Dusty Cole says Zuckerberg bought out the entire facility to watch the last UFC. It was so awful. Was it really? Hey, Paulette, thank you so much for the $10 donation. You are way too kind. Thank you for the support. Appreciate it. And I hope you're having a great weekend so far, Paulette. Thank you for the support. So somebody said I'd like to watch your streams on the Oculus. So are you allowed to just browse the internet and open up any sort of application? So could you watch YouTube on the Oculus right now? Because Troy says, I'd love to watch your streams in VR. Imagine looking around and listening from your camera. So you know what? I'm gonna have to look into that. I think that's an interesting... You know what? I'm gonna have to look into that. Is it possible to live stream from a 360 camera and then have people watch the stream on like a VR headset? And you could actually like sit in your living room, walk around, and you could see it 360 degree view of the stream. That would be just insane. I'm gonna look in to see if that's possible. Hey, Eyeglass Lady is here. Thank you for joining. Happy Saturday. Okay, so Gina Thomas says the Oculus does have YouTube. Lynn says I'm watching from the UK. Good to see you, Lynn. Hey, Rafed, good to see you, my friend. Stephanie is here. Gina Thomas is, you can if it's recorded in 360. You know, I'm gonna have to do some more digging into that, to be honest. Hey, POV. HFR says, yes, you could stream with some 360-degree cameras. I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe we'll test that out. I think that'd be interesting to do. We'll chalk it up to market research. We'll see if it's gonna be applicable. Yeah, Marcy, that's a good point. Julia M says, I tried Oculus in its beta phase 11 years ago. I think I tried something similar, but it was, I don't think you could even consider it the Oculus. It was, I don't even know what you could call it. It just wasn't too good. I think I tried it at like a high school event or something. I don't remember. You know, let's head over all the way to the west side instead of just walking up Broadway. We'll see what's over here. Yama says, I left New York City because of the crappy weather. Yeah, I mean, it was a nice day today. I'm not gonna lie. Very nice day today. Wow, look at all the garbage piled up outside of Italy. Crazy. Dub says that will be the future of your stream, a meetup in VR and walking together. I mean, that's definitely a good use case. Now, I don't know if again, I'm not Mark Zuckerberg, and he probably knows way more than I do. So I think I'm just gonna trust him, but I would really be pushing business applications, business use cases. Because with some of the AR stuff, like the Google glasses, it's real. I mean, I've actually been doing deals or pilot programs for QSR restaurants that are purchasing the Google glasses with their training applications or the software embedded into the glasses. So the trainees, check out this outdoor dining setup. This one's actually one of the nicer ones. So the trainees, instead of having, you know, one or two trainers hovering over you, you could train 3 times as many, 5 times as many people because you have a virtual trainer. Maybe it's just one person in a control room or operations room directing those new hires of how to prep the food, how to clean their stations. I think also Boeing is doing a major pilot program with Google Glass for their technicians. Because one of the things that we're seeing right now is a huge shortage of aviation technicians. So that makes it very, very hard to train new aviation technicians. So if you could pop on a pair of Google glasses and have one of the senior techs be able to see in your, I guess, sort of field of vision and direct you on how to repair specific types of components and applications, be pretty good. Wow, look at these things. These things are cool. So these are the paper lanterns. Yeah, Long Island Duck 52. This is October is the best month in New York weather-wise. I don't know, I really like the summer. Summer's great, but it was almost like a summer day today. ARCAL, good to see you. All right, so this is 6th Avenue. All right, check this out. I'm going to show you guys a crazy view of the One World Trade Center. Jason is here, good to see you. So I did want to bring up something, and I sort of wanted to save this for tomorrow as we do our Markets Look Ahead live stream. But Friday of next week is going to be very important. Check this out. So if you look all the way in front, you can see the One World Trade Center. But on Friday of next week, we are going to hear from the National Association of Realtors as they release their existing home sales data. Now, wherever you guys may be in the chat, doesn't necessarily have to be in the United States, but generally where you are. Have you been noticing in your specific market a potential slowdown in transaction volumes as it relates to home sales? And if so, are you also simultaneously seeing an explosion of inventory coming onto the market? So more people in your neighborhood listing their homes for sale? Or do you think it's just about normal, about standard? Because I think we're going to see a pretty bad number. I think we're going to see record lows as it relates to existing home sales on Friday. ARCAL says, when I go to New York City, what place would you recommend to visit first? I would probably say the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Anywhere between, my favorite is between, I would say 66th Street to 86th Street, between Central Park West and Riverside Drive. Wendy England says, yes, Tom, it's a slowdown, but there's also low inventory. Okay. Gina Thomas says, I am here in Florida. Yes, a slight decrease, but no explosion of sales. Okay. Okay, Gina Thomas says you're in Palm Beach. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing the same thing. So here's what I'm seeing in the Miami, Florida market. I still think the prices are not based in reality. And sort of here's what I mean by that. If you go to Zillow and you look up, let's just talk about single family homes for now. There's still 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes in and around, the Miami-Dade County, Broward, that are listed for like $550,000 to $600,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Now, in my view, it's just not a real price. Now, will these homes sell for that? I don't know. I really don't think so. I think being that rates are 7%, I think those are going to have to come back down. I mean, those homes are like $450,000 homes. Hey, Paulette, thank you so much for the $5 donation. You're too kind. Thank you so much. Grand Street 1 says, yes, people are staying put, but inventory remains low. Lilith says, I've been seeing pricing come down and the amount of time places are taking to sell go up. The condo that was across the street took 3 weeks to sell. So Lilith, did that condo that was across the street from you, did it sell with the price cut or did it sell for list price? But Paulette, once again, thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Hey, Alex is here. Says, I used to love going to the Barnes & Nobles at 675 6th Avenue in my teens. Where is that? 675 6th. Well, that's awesome. Good to see you, Alex. Oh, Lila, it's sold with the price cut. Copy that. JR says he thinks a 30 to 40% correction in price will happen. That's pretty steep. Maybe you're right. Tucson says homes seem to be taking longer to sell, but prices are still relatively high. So I ran just some basic numbers just to sort of give us an idea here. Oh, look at this house here. Has a bunch of Halloween stuff out. So let's just sort of run through some basic numbers for context here. Ooh, I think these guys are getting into it. So let's just talk about a $400,000 piece of property, okay? So let's say if you were in the market for a $400,000 single family home, all right, and you wanted to put a 20% down payment, just for rough numbers. So you'd put $80,000 down on the property, and you were able to finance the mortgage, or you would acquire debt, at 3%. And that's a very realistic number this time last year, because the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage was roughly 3%. Some people are actually getting below 3%, which is just mind-blowing. Your monthly payment would be about $1,678. Now again, that's just the mortgage. That's not the taxes, that's not the insurance. So let's just talk about and focus on those numbers for now. Well, look at this shot. Beautiful view of One World Trade Center. So that same exact house, that same $400,000 house with a 20% down payment, so $80,000, but with a 7% interest rate, right? Because according to bankrate.com, as of Friday's close, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 7%. Your monthly payment is going to be $2,457. That's a difference of almost $800. I mean, that's substantial, an $800 difference, and that's just for the mortgage. It's not including the taxes, the insurance. I mean, I don't understand how people, people are now bumped out of entirely different price ranges now. So, I mean, to a lot of the viewers' points in the chat, I think price is going to have to come down. Hey, Alex says that church is the former location of the infamous Limelight nightclub, or Limelight Club. Yeah, JR says it's almost double, exactly. Now, this just comes out to be, what's going to happen is this. It's either we're going to find out that Americans magically have massive amounts of cash built up, or these homes are just going to sit on the market for a long time, and then they're going to be forced to cut prices. And that's exactly what I think. I think they're going to be forced to cut prices, and that has sort of been my thesis from the beginning. Because a lot of times, and we've had these conversations on the stream before, right? A lot of people were saying, how come the stock market's getting killed, but real estate market, the prices are not really coming down. Well, it's true that the real estate market is very interest rate sensitive, but you have to think about liquidity, right? So I always say, and I've said this many times, think about your finance 101 class in college, when your professor said, okay, so look at a balance sheet, and the balance sheet of a company is in order of liquidity, right? And liquidity is essentially just a terminology. How fast can you convert something to cash? So on a balance sheet, you have your cash and equivalents, your marketable securities, and then your property, plant, and equipment. So if it's just a regular stock and interest rates go up, well, traders and investors can discount that particular investment or security, whatever you want to call it, rather quickly, because they could just, sell stock accordingly to reprice. But in the real estate market, you have to show the home. Somebody has to make an offer. You have to do a bunch of paperwork. There's negotiations. It's a lot less liquid. So it's probably the life cycle, as I like to call it, happens like this. Somebody lists their home on the market for $650 because they saw that their neighbor sold their home for $650,000. And they're like, wow, if my neighbor sold their house for $650, my house is similar, well, I could sell it for that price too. So they list their house on the market. But what they don't understand is that their neighbor sold their home when rates were 3%. And now rates are 7%. So what's gonna happen is that home is gonna sit on the market for a long time. And then their real estate agent, assuming that they're working with one, is gonna say, you know what, this house has been sitting on the market for quite some time. This isn't a good look. We either have to reduce our prices or just pull it off the market altogether. Maybe we'll go the other way. So I think that's why my sort of time target has been Q1 and Q2 of next year to see those declines or price cuts in real estate, because that brings us to about 60 days for the average home sitting on the market. So for those of you who are maybe first-time home buyers, or maybe you want to pick up another rental property or investment property, I think Q2 and next year, Q3, you're gonna have some really good deals. Like really, really good deals. Hey, William Brooklyn is here. What's up, my friend? Thank you so much for being here. Two Wheel Freedom, good to see you. Two Wheel Freedom is in Tampa, Florida. Welcome. Van, welcome. King of Dairy Queen is here. Marcy says, I've been seeing people that were pre-approved for a home, and between giving offer and finalizing bank rescinded the approval because the rates jumped and priced them out. Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of that stuff too. Now, it was interesting. Hey, Christy F is here. What's up? Good to see you, Christy. Now, another thing that we're seeing, and we're going to get a lot of this data next week too, when we covered the single-family home builder stocks, right? You could think about Toll Brothers and the like. And what they were saying is that a lot of their customers are backing out of the contracts because rates have been jumping. So in order to prevent those existing customers from backing out of their contracts, they've been having to either do price cuts or offer extreme incentives in order to save the deal. So I think it's a good point. But Christy F, long time no see. Thank you for being here. I trust you're having a good weekend. Happy Saturday to you. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to see you in the chats. Hey, Dirk says, hey Tom, great stream. Good to see you, Dirk. Gina Thomas says, I think people are going to do what you said, Tom, and rent out their home instead of sell. Yeah, so I think, Gina, I think you make a good point. So anytime I make a point like that, I always like to play devil's advocate. And I think everybody's situation is very unique, right? Now, for me, maybe I'm a little bit more flexible, but for other people, maybe they bought a home and they have kids or something like that, and they need to be in a specific school district, or maybe a spouse gets a new job in a different market, in which case they pretty much are forced to sell in those specific circumstances. Now, everybody's life is a lot different, but I think we've never really seen an environment before where rates have changed so drastically. I mean, the move in rates has just been breathtaking. So I think, to your point, why would anybody sell at a loss? Why wouldn't they say, look, I'll just rent out my property if I have to, unfortunately get a job somewhere else, and I'll just rent out my property and rent a place somewhere else. Why would you take that huge haircut? So this is Think Coffee. This is actually a pretty good coffee spot here. This is now West 15th Street. And maybe we'll make a right on West 15th. You know what, maybe we'll go down one more and make a right on West 14th. Sunshine After Rain is here. Good to see you. Hey, Southern Pacific says evening all. Welcome, Southern Pacific. The LT Prod says I've seen lots more listings where the deal fell through. So I think I told you guys this before, but I guess I'll tell you again. I think it's appropriate since we're talking about housing. So here's a good tip that I like to give everybody. I want you to create a secondary email address. So just go to Gmail or whatever, Yahoo, whatever you want, and create a burner email address, okay? And from there, create an account with Zillow. Oh, check out this building. This is a crazy unique apartment complex. Look at this. It's like each individual apartment is like this little box. That is really weird. I think it looks good. A little unique. Looks good. So then create a Zillow account, and then anywhere you're looking to buy property in your price range. So let's say your price range right now is 500,000 to 550, right? Let's say that's your price range. Regardless if you like the home or not, I want you to click the heart button on every single one of those listings, because this is what's going to happen. Now that you've liked every single one of those listings, you're going to get an automated email every time there's a material price change or a home goes under contract. So it's essentially you have your own personal algorithm now, but you're gonna get flooded with emails, and that's gonna allow you to get a better gauge on the market. So in my scenario, I liked every single home in Miami-Dade County, Broward, Nassau, Suffolk County in my preferred price range, and I get an email notification every time a listing goes into pending, which means maybe there's an offer and it's in contract, or there's a material price cut. And essentially you just made yourself your own real-time sort of housing market algorithm. Give it a try. What do you guys think about the design of this building? This thing is so interesting. What do you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down on this? I think this is probably one of my new favorite buildings. I've never seen it before. Yeah, Ren 10 says it looks awesome, isn't it? Very unique. Yeah, unique is definitely the word. It's like you have your own little sort of cube. Now there's a lot more of these type of buildings further down. So I'll take you guys down a little bit further on 14th Street.
No, you weird because you really that you got me digging after I fell.
Cynthia Beale says the design is nice, but they do look like boxes on the inside. Yeah, MSK says it blended well with the neighborhood. SME Media, good idea. Let's do that. So SME Media says if you give the address, we could look it up to see the rent.
This a vlog?
Yeah. Hey.
Come here for the vlog.
Oh, Christ. I'm not sure what the address is. I'm trying to look. But if you go on Google Maps and just go 6th Avenue and 14th Street, you'll be able to see it. But if I were to guess, I don't think these are for rent. I think these are probably all accounted for, and I think they're probably already sold out. The developer probably pre-sold them. I don't know. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Hey, Alex is 531 6th Avenue, designed by ODA Architecture, and developed by Gemini. It has 44 condominiums, really? I mean, is it just me, everybody, or does that seem like a lot less than 44 condos? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe there's a lot of studios in here. It seems like a lot less than 44. They really slammed 44 units in there. Wow, the price starts at 1.35 million for 1-bedroom units. Now, I wonder what the HOA fee is on that. What do you guys think? What do you think the monthly maintenance fees are? Yeah, I do see the flashing light there too. Yeah, it seems like 25 condos. Ed Dunkel, you think $2,000 a month? I was actually gonna guess a little bit less than that, but maybe you're right because it's a newer building. JR says that's expensive. What is the square footage? I'm not sure, but maybe you guys could look it up. So if I had to take a stab at it, might as well. I would say the monthly maintenance fees, well, I don't know. Now that Ed Dunkel said $2,000 a month, I feel like my guess is going to be way too low now. All right, I got to be honest. My guess was going to be $850. And this is on a 1-bedroom. But maybe that's just a horrible guess. Is that a horrible guess? $850 for a 1-bedroom for the monthly maintenance? I don't know how people would do that. A 1-bedroom starting at 1.3 million and $2,000 a month for the HOA monthly maintenance. I think that's a little high. But then again, it is a new building, so. Lonnie says $4.6 million for 1 unit. Well, that's probably like a 2 or 3 bedroom, right? Lonnie, good to see you, my friend. So this is 14th Street we're walking down. A lot of unique buildings. I noticed that they took some of the original sort of brick buildings and sort of made them like a hybrid with these newer type construction. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Now, the one downside about this neighborhood that I'm seeing is that one side of the street is beautiful, brand new apartments, but the side we're walking on is not the best, I would say, for lack of a better word. Hey, Proper Music is here. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. We're walking westbound. Photos from around New York says, what was the address of the building in question? I couldn't grab the address, but it was on the corner of 14th and 6th. Very nice looking building though, photos from around New York. Architecture is fantastic. Where's my Z says, I looked at a bedroom on East 14th in 2014 and it was $2,900. Wow. Well, I don't think you pay the monthly maintenance if you're renting it, right? So speaking of real estate, somebody sent me, I think it was one of you guys, maybe to my email, sent me a really interesting video. I think it was from CNBC Make It. And they were interviewing this guy and he was paying $1,100 a month for it. It's not even like a studio apartment. I mean, this thing was really, really small in the East Village. It was a shared bathroom, so he shares the bathroom with 2 other units on his floor. No kitchen, so there's no, obviously, like washer, dryer, anything like that. And he was paying $1,100 a month. in the East Village for, I think it was like 90 square feet. Shared bathroom. And I feel like he could get a better deal. I mean, that's not even like a good deal. I feel like you could find a way better deal than that. Did anybody else see that video? It was on CNBC Make It. Great view of the One World Trade Center here. Yes, photos from around New York. Maybe we're speaking about the same one. Kevin Ramsey is like, yeah, New York City is ludicrous on the rent. Yeah, that's true, but I mean, I don't know, you could still find some pretty good deals if you just search hard enough, especially if you go to the outer boroughs, I think. I know, yeah. Rent 10 is like, at my age, I can never rent a room in an apartment. Yeah, I mean, if you're younger, I think it's more advantageous to do that. You know, when I was really, really young, I'd say my college days, I think you guys know my living situation. I actually used to live in my brother's friend's walk-in closet to sort of save money. Now that was probably like not even 50 square feet. But those are the things that you could afford to do when you're, 18, 19 years old. You can't do that when you're 30, right? But those are the things that you do when you could, have unlimited energy. You could sleep on a yoga mat. You don't really even have to have a bed. And you could just get after it every day, go to work, make money, save it, invest it. But you can't really do those things when you're 30, to Rent 10's point. You kind of got to get your own place. Oh, you know what? I'm glad we actually came down here, because coming up here in a minute are some of my favorite blocks in New York City, and we never, ever, ever walk down here. So this stream is kind of going off the rails, but it's kind of nice. CM says my worst experience was living in a basement in Queens. What? I'm afraid to ask. CM, I'm afraid to ask why it was so bad. Any rodent issues? Rent 10, that is so true. Once you sort of get the taste of having your own place, you can never go back. That reminds me, there was one particular interview that I saw. So there's a very famous comedian, I'm sure everybody's heard of him, Steve Harvey. Really smart guy. So even though he's a comedian, he's also very business savvy, and I think he gives a lot of good advice. So I don't know how I stumbled on the video, but I was watching this clip of Steve Harvey, what he said on his show. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is like spot on. So he said, what everybody should do if you're trying to, get to the next level or so in life, he's like, next time you fly, he's like, book a first class ticket just to see how it is. And the next time you travel, maybe stay in a little bit nicer hotel, even if you can't afford it, just to sort of see how it is. And I actually did that one time. And from going from used to just like rucking it out, like in extreme ridiculous situations, to having like a normal living situation, was like, it sounds weird, but it's true. It was like very life-changing and eye-opening. Like, holy crap, like this is how some people are able to live? Like, this is insane. So the thesis there is that once you sort of get a taste of the good life, you force yourself to figure out how to have it, I guess. But yeah, but for the record, I fly coach. I think flying, spending hundreds of dollars on a plane ticket is a big waste of money. I mean, I think the only time where I think the ROI would actually be better to fly first class is on international flights. Because let's say if you're giving a big presentation overseas or abroad and you're slammed into coach, well, you're not going to be very well rested to give that presentation. So maybe the extra 600, 700 bucks to have a more comfortable environment, maybe the return on investment would actually show. But if you're only sort of flying from Fort Lauderdale to New York City, it's 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So I just paid the 75 bucks. All right, where are we located now, my friends? Well, we got a great view of the One World Trade Center. Yeah, Cynthia Beale says I was bumped up to first class once. It was nice, way roomier. Wow, East Coast says you met him in person. Very cool. Hey, Dirk says I'm moving back with the roommate at 33 in December. Rent prices are way out of control in Southwest Florida. So where specifically in Southwest Florida are you at? Hopefully you weren't impacted by the hurricane. So this is 7th Avenue. SME Media says use frequent flyer miles to bump up to first class. You know, I think I've been making a big mistake. So I am probably the worst person when it comes to like worrying about like frequent flyer miles and points and things like that. But I've been flying American Airlines consistently for like 2 years. And I think I've flown over 23 times this year. And I'm still not a member of the sort of American Airlines rewards program or whatever you call it. And I think I probably should. I probably could have a couple free flights by now. Check out the architecture on this building. I think these are some of my favorite buildings in New York. Sort of very quaint. It's definitely a nice change from the, 57th Street Billionaire Rose type building. These are, I don't know, these are quite nice with the fire escapes. What do you guys think? Hey, Dirk says 1 bedroom went up to $1,500 a month here in Fort Myers, Florida. Jeez. Compared to New York prices, it's actually not too bad, but I totally understand. Hey, Deborah says, Tom, use the points to upgrade to business or first for a long haul flights. It's totally worth it. Yeah, I think I got to sign up for that American Airlines Advantage thing. Yeah, Dusty Cole's like, this is very old school. I dig it. Yeah, this is West 10th Street on the corner of West 4th. I think I would actually want to live down here maybe. It almost feels like you're not even in New York. It kind of gives off like a more, I don't know, I want to say European type vibe. It's really nice. I know, Blues Writer. The Village confuses me too. And I think this is one of the more expensive neighborhoods in Manhattan. The rents down here are really, really crazy. And not for nothing, everybody, it's actually really clean down here. Like really, really clean. Let's continue to head west. Hey, Gene Paul says, I find Lower Manhattan to be more interesting than Midtown. I think Midtown is too touristy. Yeah, I kind of get that impression as well, especially being that I spend a ton of time in Midtown because I work in Midtown. It's definitely a nice change. Definitely a nice change of pace. Hey, Tom Barry is here. What's up? Yeah, Marcy says East Village is expensive, but West Village is even more expensive. Yeah, the West Village is an entirely different type of expensive, let's just say that. And there's a lot of interesting type of, I don't know, I'd say like, I don't really want to call them pop-up shops, but like very unique clothing stores. Like, check out this one. I'm sure every sort of sweater, t-shirt, jacket in here probably goes over like $100, maybe more. Well, let's see. 166 bucks for the pants. Yeah, this is maybe a little bit out of my price range. Let's just say that. But beautiful neighborhood though. Hey, Destructionist is here. What's up? Good to see you, Destructionist. Always a pleasure to have you here on the stream. I'm sort of torn where I should take you guys. Yeah, we'll just randomly mosey around. I think that's pretty par for the course for the Walks on Wall Street Saturday night streams. Ah, D, the boutiques, yes. Yeah, so here's an example, right? A lot of the old, I guess you can consider them like railroad style, brownstone / railroad style buildings. A lot of them are under construction and they do a completely resurface or reface these buildings. And, you know, for purchase, they could go for the tens of millions, $10, $11 million. But rents for a one bedroom down here could sometimes nudge up against 4,000. SME Media is like Mosey. Oh, so this is the 6th precinct. This is the Greenwich Village 6th precinct. Big shout out to the NYPD, New York City Police Department, FDNY. Wow, check this out. So could you imagine in the morning walking out on your sort of fire escape / patio? I think he has a pretty nice library too. And these blocks are really nice too. You have all of these very nice tree-lined blocks, which is very rare, especially if you're in Midtown. Maybe Midtown East has lots of tree-lined blocks. The Upper West Side also has a lot of tree-lined blocks, but definitely not going to get that in Midtown. Dirk says would give anything to live in Greenwich Village. It's definitely a good time. In the summer, it's also a great time. Wow, look at this place. So this is the corner of West 10th Street. Photos from around New York says no grocery stores in this area. Nash says, I imagine I would hear a lot of noise there. It's not too noisy, honestly. If you really want to hear noisy, you know, you go up near anywhere between 55th to 57th Street, in between, I'd say 6th Avenue and maybe 9th and 10th. That's really noisy there. But this is actually more of like a quieter neighborhood. I'd say it's probably a little more noisy than the Upper West Side. I think if you're looking for a place to live in the city, especially if you have kids, I would say the Upper West Side is better. Hey, speaking of the FDNY, we got him in the house right now. The Papa Smurf, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Says, good evening, Tom. Hope you're having an amazing weekend. Great stream once again in the city that never sleeps. Thank you. Hopefully you're having a good weekend as well. Staying safe. I'm just getting over a little bit of a cold type of, my voice is a little bit shot, if you couldn't tell. But all good. Everything's good on my end. Oh, this is something that's not too common in New York. I gotta show you guys this. Look at this. So this reminds me of 83rd Street. So this guy has his own garage here. Think about that. Think about living in New York City, in Manhattan, having your own garage. I think I told you guys, but when I used to work, when I was a teenager, I worked between Amsterdam and Columbus Avenue on 83rd Street. And right across the street from our parking garage was Seinfeld, or Jerry Seinfeld's garage, his personal garage, where he has all his, fancy sports cars and all that. And it sort of looks similar to that, so definitely probably paying a pretty penny for that. Wow, look at this. It's a nice shot at One World Trade Center. Wow, BMST. This is the guy who has a few Ferraris in there. I could imagine, I mean, if you have your own personal garage in New York City, I doubt, Honda Civic is in that thing. Gina Thomas says, you're talking with your hands, true New Yorker. You guys are gonna have to cuff my hands to the side. Wow, Papa Smurf says, feel better, Tom. I'm working a 12-hour shift this weekend. So how does that work? If you want to enlighten us for the chat, maybe some people that don't know. But I think the FDNY, so how does the shifts work? You guys do on 12-hour rotations, right? Or sometimes you could even do 24-hour shifts and you sleep at the firehouse, is that correct? So for all of our car lovers in the chat, look at this classic here. This looks like some sort of a classic Mercedes. Very cool. Let's walk over one more. We'll see. Bang right into the highway. Pop is like, yeah, it's correct. Yeah, we do. That's rough, man. Yeah, I remember during my time at John Jay, when we were preparing to go into the academy, I didn't go in. I was about to, but I changed paths. Everybody was forewarning us that as a rookie cop, you pretty much work the worst schedule ever, which means you're probably working the graveyard shift nights. So your shift probably starts at about 9 p.m. Maybe you get off very, very early in the morning. Whoa, check these out. These are really unique. So you have your personal garage here, and then it's your personal front door. It's almost like you're living in suburbia, but you're in Manhattan. This is really cool. Got a little jack-o'-lantern there. I think this is the most quiet it's ever been on the Walks on Wall Street stream, ever. So now we are West Side Highway. Yeah, Abby once says the wood door was nice. That was very unique. So right across the highway here is the water, the Hudson River, and then you hit New Jersey. Let's see if we could cross over there. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami. We'd love to have you guys along for the ride. Disney Matt says, hey Tom, considering you have an iPhone 13 mini, do you think it's worth to get the iPhone 14 Pro? So personally, I'm not gonna do that. I think I'm gonna stick with this phone as long as possible until it blows out on me. And I think the reason for that is just because I don't see a need to upgrade, if that makes sense. Now, the only specific thing that was a little bit enticing to maybe make me make the switch was the camera stability, because obviously we do live stream a lot. So supposedly on the iPhone 14, you do not need a gimbal to stabilize your camera. But then again, we are streaming through a third-party software called Prism. And I think it's going to take a while for those software developers to code, reprogram, to make the streaming software work with that capability, if that makes sense. Wow, when's the last time you guys think we were all the way over here? This is an amazing view, right on the Hudson River, looking all the way at One World Trade Center. Amazing view, crazy. Hey, Silva Inc. says, the only way I'm getting rid of this phone is if it no longer functions properly. I think that's probably going to be the same thesis for me too. Let's go down here, let's bang a left, and let's walk the pier, and let's see how crazy the view is going to get over here. Yeah, Grand Street once is Jersey City and Hoboken across the river. So Grand Street 1, the only time I've ever been to Jersey City. Wait, let me make sure I'm not mixing this up. I am mixing it up. Hoboken. I'm talking about Hoboken, New Jersey. Was during the pandemic. Because if anybody remembers, think back to the pandemic. And there was a time where the indoor style dining was not allowed in Manhattan, but it was allowed in New Jersey. So anybody who was still living in Manhattan at the time, if you wanted to do anything on the weekend, we would just all take the train to Hoboken, New Jersey, and you could sort of live a normal life. That's what we would do. But check out this view of Lower Manhattan. Beautiful here. Zozo Bob, welcome, good to see you. Always a pleasure. What do you guys, okay, let's give a rating on the view, might as well. I'm gonna go, I don't know, I'm gonna go maybe 9.2. I'm gonna go 9.2 on the view. What do you guys think? Is that a little low? What do you think? Is that a little low on that? 9.2? I think that's an appropriate 9.2. I think it may get a little bit better as we walk down the pier. 8.9. Wow, it is beautiful here. Really beautiful. So these apartments are some of my favorite. These are really, really unique. the Ferris wheel right here. Wow, Sag, hey, this is Tom. The Jersey City skyline has changed. I used to live on 6th Street, 1 block away from the river. Yeah, I mean, this looks like it's not a bad skyline, not gonna lie. Now, I think this is the Goldman Sachs building, is that right? This one right here, I may be mistaken. Yeah, it is a little bit windy, so we may get some wind noise in the mic. But I'm saving the best view for last, because if you turn around here, look what we got. We have the Empire State Building. You can see all the way to Midtown Manhattan. And if you look right here, this is the very famous Hudson Yards. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna walk all the way to the end, and then I'll sort of try to give you guys a panorama view of everything. It is getting windy though out here. Oh, check this out. You guys hold on to your face. Look at this. We have a beautiful view of the one and only Lady Liberty. Look at that, that's cool. Statue of Liberty right here. Now, it probably doesn't come out too well, but it's definitely cool to see it. So Statue of Liberty all the way in the distance right here. Then you have the Hudson Yards. Nice grass area here too. I think the last time we came over here on the live stream was when we would do our skateboarding streams. Christy S says, dude, where are you? This is great. So we're probably at one of the piers. I'm not sure the exact number of the pier here, but we have a great view of the Empire State Building. And to the right of it, you have One Vanderbilt. What do you guys think is a better view? One World Trade Center, Lower Manhattan, or Empire State Building? What do you guys think? I think I like the One World Trade. Yeah, Lonnie says One World Trade Center. All right, well, let's head back into the city. Flora's here, good to see you. So there's the very famous tourist type attraction here. I'll show you guys. It's called the Edge. So it is like an observatory. So you can see it sticking out of the side of this building right here is the exact location of the Edge. Hey, Gina Thomas, thank you so much for the $5 donation. You are very kind. Says this is a great stream tonight, Tom. Thank you, Gina. Yeah, this is a pretty unique stream. You know, you never know where these Saturday night live streams are going to take us. But thank you for the support. Obviously, tomorrow night is Sunday. That is when we will be doing our Markets a Look Ahead live stream, where we will be reviewing all of the up and coming events on Wall Street. And it's going to be a very, very busy week next week. Obviously, we are now in the thick of it as it relates to Q3 earnings. So we are going to hear from more banks, financial institutions. We are also going to be getting a huge amount of housing data. So we're going to cover that tomorrow. No worries. We'll get it done. You know, these three identical looking condominiums, could you imagine the views that you get? Now, assuming each floor is its own unit, you could have a view of the Empire State Building, a view of the Hudson Yards, and a view of the One World Trade Center all in one shot. Those things must be going for millions. Get a load of this guy over here. This guy looks like he's having a huge rager in his apartment. Wish we were invited. You never know, maybe he's watching the stream. All right, so let's head back into the city. Austin city limits, good to see you. These are really nice apartments too, right here. Really nice. You know, it's good that we came all the way over here, because once it gets to winter, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna be able to make it over here. It's gonna be crazy cold. But yeah, this is a nice bike path. So when I used to work in Lower Manhattan, I actually used to take this path every day when it was nice. I used to work right on the corner of Wall Street and Water. And I would take the Hudson River bike path every day, as much as I could when it wasn't raining. I'll show you guys where it starts. I thought it was going to tell us what the number of the pier was. But this is the bike path. So this goes all the way uptown, pretty much all the way around the entire island. And it'll take you all the way to One World Trade Center. And we are on the entrance of Christopher Street and West Street. Orland Edwards, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Long time no see. Neil Bell says it was Pier 45. Copy that. Are you sure? I think it's a little bit too far down for Pier 45. Because Pier 40 is where I used to play soccer a lot. But good to see you, Neil. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Zozo Bob says lots of traffic. Well, this is the highway. This is West Side Highway. Oh, you're right, Neil. You are right. Pier 40. Wow. getting a little bit disoriented. You're right. Look at this little, maybe this is a bar? Maybe like a little dive bar.
I love your.
Cool. Hey, out and about from Toronto, Canada. Good to see you. I'm gonna have to make my way to Toronto sooner rather than later. Teresa Diaz says it's 10:30. Copy that. I'm gonna have to start headed back uptown towards 34th Street. I'll be sure to take you guys with me. So we're coming up on Washington Street. Excuse me. Hey, the Faceless Cook says, hey Tom, just subscribed. Thank you, my friend. It's a pleasure to have you here. For those of you who are new, we do these live streams about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami, Florida. Monday through Friday, we usually have a dedicated topic as it relates to the financial markets. Saturdays are kind of our day off to kind of hang out, talk about anything, walk around, explore new parts of the city. And Sunday is our markets a look ahead stream where we go day by day and cover the main events on Wall Street as it relates to corporate earnings or any major announcements as it relates to the Federal Reserve, FOMC meetings. Oh, look at this. It says coffee no, noodles yes. What if we want both? Oh, that's where you get the PATH train. All right, now we're back. I think I'm gonna walk over 2 more avenues and then we're gonna start headed uptown. I think this is Hudson Street. So we'll go over 2 more and then we're gonna bang a left and go uptown to 34th Street, the Moynihan train station. Let's see what's going on this side of the street. This is Christopher. A lot of cool little shops. This looks like a pretty cool bar. Raj is here, good to see you. Wow, look at this. Hey. I think they make the pasta right here. That place is really cool. I've never been there. Frank Garcia says, Tom, are there more younger people or older people in New York? Well, it's an interesting question because yeah, no problem. What happened during the pandemic was really interesting. And there was actually, well, I'm not going to go as far to say there was a study done, but if you look at the data of a lot of people who are moving out of the city and compare that to people who are moving in, once the pandemic hit, a lot of people with families, maybe with kids or seniors, were actually moving out of the city. And we had a mini flash crash in real estate prices and in rent prices here. And you saw a ton of younger people actually move in. I think there was a record amount of younger people. And when I say younger people, I mean, I would say college age and maybe just graduating college move into the city. It was a record amount. So just basically from what I've been seeing is that the people who live here, a lot of them tend to be, I would say, maybe under 35-ish. I would say probably a big population of people under 35. I just thought that was an interesting piece of data. I think the New York Times came out with that study. And I think it makes sense because think about all of the young people from all over the United States, not only the United States, but the world, that dream of moving to New York. And one of the main reasons why they can't do that is because of price. So once COVID hammered New York and we had that mini flash crash in real estate, a lot of younger people took advantage of that. Now, for some context here, so this is Christopher Street, downtown, one train. For some context, I was actually able to get a studio apartment on Central Park South. And my apartment had a view of Central Park. And I was paying just under $2,100. And this was during the height of COVID. So when I moved out, I'll take you guys past the famous bar here. So I think this is where the entire LGBT movement kicked off. This is where it all started, right here. Since we're here, I'll take you guys past it so you can see. But when I moved out, that same exact unit, that studio apartment, rented for I think $4,300. So think about that. Really, really crazy price fluctuations. Deborah says in my hood, they're all younger people. Oh, and okay, a lot of people moved out, they got scared and left. Interesting. Maria's here, welcome. Durman, good to see you. It also depends on what neighborhood you're in, right? I think if you're on the Upper East Side, like if you live on the Upper East Side, probably a older sort of demographic, but you know, in the East Village, there's probably not too many senior citizens, especially on St. Mark's Place. All right, this is the very famous Stonewall. I'll try to stand across the street so you guys can see it. This is the Stonewall Inn. A lot of people out tonight. Marcy's like, I'm having serious FOMO. Marcy, you gotta make a trip. Gotta make a trip out to New York before the winter sets in. Now look at this thing. This is like a Halloween decoration on the side of the building. Looks like one of those cobwebs. Sonia C says, Tom, what intersection was that pasta place? Which pasta place are you referring to? Oh, the one that I just walked past? Let me think. It was in between 7th. So if you go to Google Maps and just type in Stonewall, it was 2 blocks over from that. So 2 blocks over from Stonewall. In between 7th. What do you guys think of this spider web? Very unique. Beautiful dogs here. You know, I think we have to start headed back up. Wow, look at how cool this looks. This is like such a cool shot right here. I think I'm actually going to screenshot this. Hey, HT says, what device are you using to stream? This is an iPhone 13 mini. iPhone 13 mini. Stephen D says, do you think silver has bottomed out? Are you bullish on silver? So I don't own any precious metals. Technically, that's not true. I actually have a very, very small amount of physical silver, but nothing, it's just like pretty, it's not even, it won't even register on the equity scale. But I started to get into more of it along, not really from an investment standpoint, from like a collector's standpoint. So I do have a very little bit of physical silver. When gold was trading near all-time record highs, I said if gold cracks a new all-time record high, I was probably going to load almost the entire account in the trade because the base was just so massive. But it never cracked all-time record highs, and it actually faded, and gold has been getting hammered.
Oh my God.
So I don't own any gold, and I own a very small amount of physical silver, but I don't own any of the precious metals. And I think it's really interesting what's sort of playing out. Because you would think in an inflationary environment, precious metals and gold specifically. Oh, check this out. Look at the FDNY guys here. Awesome firehouse. You know, you would think that gold would act as a pretty good inflation hedge. It hasn't. So this is, I think, Squad Company 18. So yeah, I don't, and I'm not particularly, I wouldn't say I'm particularly bullish on it either. More along the lines of what I'm looking for is a new bull cycle to start once the Federal Reserve announces either a pivot, which I don't think they're going to do anytime soon, or they announce that they're going to hold up on raising rates, which I don't think they're going to do anytime soon either. So in my actively managed account, I'm sitting at some of the highest cash levels I've ever had, ever. Said TV, so salute FDNY, agreed. So I have 2 main accounts, and I think I've said this. I have 2 main accounts. One account is just a basic general IRA, right? So a retirement account that is long only, and I don't touch it. I don't fumble around with it. That's for when I'm, 75 and I'm going to retire. I'm 27 years old now, so I barely even look at the account statement. and I have automatic buys, I think the last Tuesday of every month. And the only exposure I have in that IRA is a basic broad-based index fund that tracks the S&P 500. So in that account, I'm down, what, 25%? I mean, I think the S&P 500 is down about 25.66% this year. So that's how much I'm down. In my actively managed account, I've been getting chopped up a lot this year, testing a couple follow-through days we had. I think I'm down about 8% for the year in my actively managed account, which if you think about it, that's actually very good performance, being that the NASDAQ is down almost 36%. I think for the 2 follow-through days we had so far this year, I risked a little bit and I was subsequently stopped out of those positions. So look, a lot of people who are actively managing money this year, you're getting chopped up. You know, I think there's very few active money managers that are doing good this year. Maybe if you're running like a value portfolio or you're very strongly weighted towards energy. So a lot of the guys who have 90% of the portfolio, you know, in Oxy Petroleum or something like that, or Exxon, then you did really well. Unfortunately, that's not me. Let me just cross the street here, guys. So this is Greenwich Avenue and West 11th Street. I'll give you one more look at where we were walking from. So for me, I tend to be, you know, a can slim style investor and trader in my actively managed account. So obviously over the past 5 years, we've been doing well return wise because, you know, artificially low interest rates, a lot of these SaaS stocks that have been, you know, compounding out their sales growth have been really good investments. However, as we talked about, as interest rates go up, the first particular stocks to get hammered are those very speculative high beta tech stocks. And the reason for that is because many of these tech stocks, not all, but many, don't have a lot of present earnings. Their earnings are forecasted or projected in the future. And when interest rates go up, the present value of those future earnings decline. So the market has to re-rate those particular stocks. So maybe they're not going to trade at the ridiculous price to sales, price to earnings ratios that they were. You're going to see huge PE compression. And I think it's going to take for I think these things are going to still continue to get hammered until the Fed stops its tightening cycle. So I've been just sort of waiting. It's kind of been relaxing, I guess, not to be engaged all the time. And I'm just waiting for a follow-through day. Andrea's A says futures and macro are plus 20. Yeah, the L2 Prod says 10-year treasury yield is over 4% now. That's true. And the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 7%. So on Friday, we are going to hear from the National Association of Realtors. We are going to get existing home sales data out. And that existing home sales are going to continue to fall off a cliff. But we'll talk a little bit more about that on tomorrow's live stream. Troy says, did you get out of all your positions before everything started tanking? How are you down only 8%? That's really good. Yeah, so in my actively managed account, I'm down about 8% for the year. And that is in my long short portfolio where I actively manage money. My long only retirement account, it's obliterated. It's down 24%. But I don't put any type of hedges on that. It's just an automatic buy in the S&P 500. Because I say this, I'm like, look, I'm gonna try to outperform the market. The odds are against me. I fully understand that. So knowing that, I'm also going to have an account where I just will accept full market returns. What's going on here? Everybody's waiting in line for something. Yeah, we'll turn down here. So look, if I just max out the IRA and just let it grow tax deferred, you'll have a good retirement. But I think that, as Peter Lynch said, if you only buy the indice, there's never any chance for you to beat it. So I also actively manage an account. But yes, if I am a very, very diligent sort of slim, I would say trader / investor, which is sort of the system that William J. O'Neill pioneered, the founder of Investors Business Daily. So any of my big positions that I had in 2021, I probably gave back about, I'd say probably about 20% of those gains off the top, because you'll never really sell the top with Slim, because unless your stock really violates the 50-day moving average on massive volume, you still kind of stay in the stock. But those are sort of my guardrails, right? So if I have a big position in something and that particular stock crashes through the 50-day on 2 times average daily volume, well, I'm probably going to sell 50% of the position. And then if it retraces to the 200-day and cracks that on 2 or 3 times average daily volume, well, I'm blowing out the whole thing. So you'll protect the vast majority of your gains, but you'll never ride these stocks all the way down. A good book to read is How to Make Money in Stocks by William J. O'Neill. That's a fantastic book to sort of learn different sell rules and buy rules and things like that. But it's been a tough year. For obvious reasons. Hey, Tracy, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Much appreciated. Thank you for the support. I see Sunshine NYC. Good to see you. Our good moderator. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat about that too. Yeah, so my thoughts about that is I'll give you guys another good book that I think you should read also. And it's by Jack Bogle. Wow, check out that. Beautiful view of the Empire State Building. It's by Jack Bogle, John Bogle. Unfortunately, he did pass away, but he was the former CEO of the Vanguard Group. And essentially his thesis is that many people, or the vast majority of people, are better off just dollar cost averaging into an index fund that tracks the S&P 500, right? So if the S&P is up 12% in a year, your portfolio will return 12%. So you're guaranteed to get the lion's share of pretty much the American economy. Because over time, corporate profits in America generally go up, right? It has for the last 100 plus years. And my bet is that corporate profits in America are going to continue to go up for the next 100 years. I mean, innovation is not just going to stop. I mean, think about 20 years ago. Our lives were much different 20 years ago than they are now. I think our lives are going to be a lot different 20 years from now. I think there's going to be more innovation, more companies that we haven't even thought of before. They're going to go public on the exchange and make a ton of money. And corporate profits in America are going to go up. Now, you're going to have more 2008 financial crisis. You're going to have more COVID crashes. But generally speaking, the S&P 500 over the long period of time, so long as corporate profits go up, the trajectory of the market tends to go up as well. So I'm 27 years old. I can ride out a 50% correction in the S&P because I'm not going to retire until I'm like 75, right? So I just continue to add a portion of my income and let it compound. And no, I don't hedge it just because I feel like it'd just be a little bit of a waste of my time to do that. I'll put on hedges in my actively managed portfolio, but if I'm just buying the index, I'm just going to buy the index and just let it ride. I don't know. Ooh, Teresa Diaz, 10:55. I think we're going to be right on time for... I think I'm just going to make my train by like 5 minutes. Charlie Richardson, good to see you. Now, so that's sort of the good news. Here's where I am a little bit concerned. Because if you look at other stock markets across the world, they've never reached their all-time record high ever again, such as the Japanese stock market. Now, the problem in Japan is population growth. And there's a direct correlation between growth of the population and GDP growth, gross domestic product growth. And that's why, and I think I want to save this for a different live stream, but that's why over the long term, I'm very, very bullish in India, very bullish India specifically, and Africa. Because Africa is going to have one of the fastest growing, and India as well. What's going on over here? I don't know what's going on over there. So I think that's why over the long term, I'm going to be very bullish Indian equities. So the Indian stock market. And, well, yeah, I'll save my African thesis for another stream because my phone's going to die, but... So my only concern about the United States is population decline. Because people aren't having kids like they used to. And over the long term, that's going to have a big impact on GDP growth. Which is why I think over the long term, we need to figure out a more sustainable immigration policy in the United States to attract the world's best and brightest people to come start businesses in the United States. What is there, a big shootout going on here? Clanging and banging all over the place. Oh, I think it's because there's maybe a big club or something down there. But if you guys enjoyed the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. And also, if you like the sort of topics we talk about, if you scan the QR code on your screen, I write a free investing newsletter where I share my thoughts on paper to sort of continue the conversation. So if you want to receive that to your inbox, feel free to punch in your email and you'll receive my thoughts on the US equity market, emerging markets, fixed income and the like. And we usually send it out every other Tuesday after the market closes. But I'm going to take you guys all the way back with me, or all the way back to the Moynihan train station. Yeah, Miguel. So Miguel makes a really good point. Miguel says wealth inequality is driving a decrease in birth rates, I'd imagine. Yeah, and I think that one of the main issues or the main things driving wealth inequality is the Federal Reserve. More specifically, I would say ZIRP, Z-I-R-P. And ZIRP is zero interest rate policy that we've essentially had here in the United States in order to get us out of the great financial crisis. Now, the problem with that is zero interest rate policy or artificially suppressed rates makes it easier for business people to acquire debt for cheap, to invest in their businesses, maybe to buy additional investment properties or buy additional businesses, which is good because that creates jobs. But it also creates an extreme wealth divide, because as that cheap money is sloshing around, it tends to increase the value of a lot of assets, not only in the equity market, but real estate market as well. And if you look at who owns the vast majority of these assets, it's the top 10% of Americans. So even though inflation for the last 15 years has been right at the Fed's target of about 2 to 3%, asset price inflation has been insane. I mean, the S&P 500 tripled in 10 years, more. But really the only people who benefited from that were the individuals or corporations who owned the vast majority of those assets. Which is sort of why we have starter homes right now going for like $550,000. So I think a lot of that stuff has to correct, and I think it will. You know, at the last FOMC meeting, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell himself said that he thinks we need a quote-unquote reset in the housing market. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But everybody, the phone is going to die. And I didn't bring the battery pack with me, so we are going to have to sign off. But I appreciate everybody for joining the live stream tonight. We will see you guys tomorrow for the Market to Look Ahead stream, starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're new here, feel free to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and we will see you here live from the greatest city on earth, New York, tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. So thank you all for joining. Abby, thank you so much. Deborah, photos from around New York. Teresa Diaz, thank you so much. This is 22,300 subs. Oh my gosh, insane. Thank you for the support. Maria, photos from around New York. All of our moderators. Austin City Limits. Anna R. Sally. John, Muhammad. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Make it a great Sunday. Be ready for the Market to Look Ahead live stream. Take it easy, everybody.